Keshava.
Pahi.
Oh, Krishna Keshava Pahi Mam. Krishna
Very
Keshava.
nice. We all did it together. Give yourselves a big clap there. Okay, Jai, you want to start with the gopis cried all night?
Okay. The gopis cried all night before the departure of Krishna. As soon as the sun rose, Akrura finished his morning bath and got on the chariot and started for Mathura, Krishna and Balaram. Nanda Maharaj and the cowherd men got up to the bullock carts after loading them with big earthen pots filled with yogurt, milk, ghee, and other milk products. They began to follow the chariot of Krishna and Balaram. In spite of Krishna's asking the gopis not to obstruct, they all surrounded the chariot and stood up to see Krishna with pitiable eyes. Krishna was very much affected upon seeing the plight of the gopis, but his duty was to start for Mathura, for this was foretold by Narada. Krishna therefore consoled the gopis. He told them that they should not be aggravated. He was coming back very soon after finishing his business. But they could not be persuaded to disperse. The chariot, however, began to head west, and as it proceeded, the minds of gopis followed it as far as possible. They watched the flag on the chariot as long as it was visible. Finally, they could see only the dust of the chariot in the distance. The gopis did not move from their places, but stood until the chariot could not be seen at all. They remained standing still, as if they were painted pictures. All the gopis decided that Krishna was not returning immediately, and with greatly disappointed hearts, they returned to their respective homes. Being greatly disturbed by the absence of Krishna, they simply thought all day and night about his pastimes and thus derived some consolation.
Okay, so it's a very sad scene here, very pitiable. They tried to stop the chariot being taken away, and obviously they weren't very keen on Akrura. I don't think Akrura received their blessings at all. And in fact, none of the Brijbasis were happy when Krishna left. But what was the result of the Krishna disappearing? What happened to the gopis as soon as he had disappeared from them? What was the last sentence there? What was that revealing? Something important to us.
They remain still standing like painted pictures.
Yes, that is one, because they were stunned. One of the Ashta Sattvika Bhavas, Ashta, 8 ecstatic symptoms of love of God, is that you are stunned. And of course, we've had many experiences. Lord Chaitanya would also exhibit being stunned at different times. Dhruva Maharaj, Narada also. Many cases of being stunned, where you become like a statue. You just can't move. As I said before, I was stunned. I've experienced being stunned when I took a bath in the sea on the coldest day in the history of the UK. I was very stunned, like this. For 10 minutes in the sea. But that wasn't exactly due to ecstatic love of God. That was due to the shock of hypothermia. Oh dear. But and there's another part of the last section there. Anyone can pick up on it.
I think is that I could be wrong, but it says at the end that even though they knew that Krishna is not returning back immediately, and they were very disappointed, and they basically just living with them, remembering Krishna's pastimes.
Yeah, the tendency to go into remembrance, smaranam, which is one of the paths of the Bhakti Marga. One of the aspects of Bhakti is Smaranam, who Prahlad Maharaj is the famous example of Vishnu Smaranam. They would begin remembering, and this would be their mood for the rest of their lives until they met Krishna in Kurukshetra. So briefly, they met Krishna, and the Jagannath Rath Yatra festival was the first Rath Yatra festival, took place in Kurukshetra, with the gopis trying to pull the chariot with Balaram, Krishna, and Subhadra sitting on that chariot, trying to pull, drag Krishna back to Vrindavan. So their mood would become Vipralamba. Vipralamba. Who can tell me what Vipralamba means? Vipralamba. Vipralipsa means to cheat, cheating. Vipralipsa, and Vipralamba means to remember someone in separation or to love someone in separation. There's an old saying, better to have loved and lost the love than to have never loved at all. It's an old sort of poet thing. So the gopis, they loved Krishna very, very dearly. They gave their hearts to Krishna. They surrendered everything for Krishna. They gave up everything for Krishna. And therefore, their intensity of Vipralamba, the mood of experiencing Krishna in separation. It's like you miss someone so much, you can experience their presence even though they're hundreds and thousands of miles away. That happens also in early love, in the early stages of a love affair or a love relationship. The boy is engaged to the girl, and they're not living together, but they become attached to each other. And then we experience this, oh, I can't live without you. I can't live without, I'm desperately in love with you. I can't be without you. Then after they've been married about 5 or 6 years, I can't live with you. The horrible realities of material existence. But in Krishna consciousness, this Vipralamba is wonderful. It's actually because Krishna is present. The mystical potency of Vipralamba is that even one is not with Krishna, by remembering Krishna intensely, Krishna becomes more present. And this was exhibited by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his Leelas. Okay, hey, Archana's here. Hare Krishna Archana, welcome. Swagatam.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Archana. Archana's in double format. She's come in 2 forms here.
Okay, nice, better.
She did an expansion. Thump. 2 of me. Hey,
Hare Krishna. Hare
Archana.
Krishna, everyone.
Archana, those Bakris saved our lives. Archana came to the school with the Bakris, and they, oh my goodness me, Archana, we owe you at least £10,000 for that.
Oh, no.
In monopoly money, but we do owe you the money. Thank you very much. We really appreciate
You're
it.
welcome, Prabhuji.
And the
I hope
doctor,
you
she made doctors for us, everyone. So I'm changing. Archana's new name is Dokra Ben. Dokra Ben. Dokra. We used to, and when we was brahmacharis, we were living in one temple for, several months in Leicester. And we were living there. And the lady who's doing puja and cooking for the deity, Radha Krishna deities, her name was Ladu Ben. Ladu Ben. So then we started calling everyone different names, you know, Bakri Ben. Now we've got a new one, Dokra Ben. They were brilliant doctors, really nice. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Hare Krishna. Thank
Oh,
you. I hope
thank you. It was fantastic. We couldn't have because of Ekadashi, but the next day, oh, it was a sad situation the next day. And we got to get your tins, that tin, and then we'll get them to you somehow.
Don't worry.
It's
Don't
very
worry.
sad because we mangled everything. It was mangled.
Oh, thank
Okay,
you.
thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna. Okay, so Vipralamba, this Vipralamba is mentioned here. It's touched upon Vipralamba Bhava. It was the mood of the Goswamis. He Radhe Brajadevike, He Radhike Chalalite, He Nanda Shunakuta, Shri Govardhana. This is the song of Srinivasacharya, his bhajan on the Shad Goswami Ashtaka. And the last but one verse is He Radhe Brajadevike Chalalite, He Nanda Shunakuta. Their mood of the Goswamis, their mood was in the separation of Krishna. They never met Krishna. They never get to meet Krishna. They nearly meet Krishna. But they never, and this mood of Vipralamba is very, very sweet, like sugarcane, but it's very hot, which is very burny. So it's like it's hot, sweet sugarcane juice. And it's irresistible, but painful at the same time. It's irresistibly sweet and painful. Has anybody experienced something in their life, something irresistibly sweet and painful? Anybody experienced something like the Smita?
Eating raw sugar cane.
Raw sugar cane, okay. Yeah. Oh, biting it. You've been biting it. That's painful. Okay.
But it's sweet.
Give him a clap for that one. That was good. That was a good one. Anybody else experiencing something irresistibly sweet and painful? Well, I remember when I ate 20 chocolate bars, that was irresistibly sweet, and then it became very painful. No, anybody else? Archana? No?
No, I can't remember anything that they were.
Alex must be experiencing something irresistibly sweet and painful
Irresistible.
simultaneously.
Irresistibly sweet and painful. Well, I can just throughout life can be sweet and painful.
Yes, it's true.
And towards the end, it's painful, but we still kind of linger to it, even though we know it's part of it. But
we all know that love, when we experience that feeling of love, which is a shadow, what we experience in this world is the shadow reflection of the real thing.
Yeah,
it is wonderful. It is wonderful. There's so many. Look at how many songs, how many books, how many movies are made about the theme of love. It's very, love for the family, love for your loved one, love for an animal. There's so much. It is a very predominating aspect of life. Yet we often find, yesterday, all my troubles seem so far away. You know the song? Now I know that they're here. Oh, I believe in yesterday. Suddenly, painful, sweet, painful. So this love of gopis experience for Krishna, this is the real deal. And because it's the real deal, it's real. It actually becomes fulfilling within the pain, within the separation, within the contradictory emotions that Lord Chaitanya himself experienced, and is there in the pages of the Chaitanya Charitamrita, how he experienced contradictory emotions. He was literally pulling his hair, or whether his shika, his arms were stretching, they were going into his body. He was grinding his teeth. he was scratching the walls. He was in great pain, but the pain of ecstasy of love. Lord Chaitanya was experiencing this. Anyone who's read the Antya Leela of the Chaitanya Charitamrita regarding Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's nocturnal pastimes in the Gambhira with Ramananda Roy, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, with Govinda was there. Just a few confident, it was experience of separation. It was intolerable. It was intolerable. But the deep ecstasy of love was the gopis were experiencing. Therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, I am simply Gopi Bhartu Padakamalayo. I am the servant of this lover of the gopis, Lord Krishna. Okay, so who would like to start off? The Lord accompanied. Who is next paragraph? Yes?
I can do it.
Shama Mai. Okay, Shama Rani.
The Lord, accompanied by Akrura and Balram, drove the chariot with great speed towards the bank of the Yamuna. Simply by taking a bath in the Yamuna, anyone can diminish the reaction of his sinful activities. Both Krishna and Balram took their baths in the river and washed their faces. After drinking the transparent, crystal clear water of the Yamuna, they took their seats again on the chariot. The chariot was standing underneath the shade of the big trees. The both brothers sat down there. Akrura then took their permission to also take bath in the Yamuna. According to Vedic rituals, after taking the bath in the river, one should stand at least half submerged and murmur the Gayatri mantra. While he was standing in the river, Akrura suddenly saw both Balram and Krishna within the water. He was surprised to see them there because he was confident that they were sitting in the chariot. Confused, he immediately came out of the water and went to see where the boys were. And he was very surprised to see that they were sitting on the chariot as before. When he saw them on the chariot, he began to wonder whether he had seen them in the water. He therefore went back to the river. This time he saw not only Balram and Krishna there, but many of the demigods and all the Siddhas, Charanas, and Gandharvas. They were all standing before the Lord, who was lying down. He also saw the Seshnag with thousands of hoods. Lord Seshnag was covered with bluish garments, and his necks were all white. The white necks of Seshnag appeared exactly like snow-capped mountains. On the coiled lap of Seshnag, Akrura saw Krishna sitting very soberly with 4 hands. His eyes were like the reddish petals of the lotus flower.
Okay, now this is a wonderful aspect of who's read this chapter before? Who's read this before? Yes, Janaravinda Prabhu. Yes, and I do remember we used to have tapes produced in Los Angeles at the New Dwarka in our ISKCON. It used to be the world headquarters at that time. And this productions, Avatar, Golden Avatar Productions, produced some beautiful tapes of dramatized chapters from this Krishna book. The devotees were, it was a little bit like, on Radio 4, you have the archers. Dun, 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 and you have people, they're standing there and they're reading from the script and they're acting. So devotees were producing these audio dramatized pastimes of Krishna. And one of them was this particular the Leela of Akrura. And we used to listen. We used to listen to it again and again. And when we were taking rest, when we were traveling, we would put it on and we would listen to it as we were going to sleep. different pastimes of Varahadev, Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan. They were fantastic. Has anybody heard any of those tapes or recordings? No, no. Or we'll have to somehow another. I'll have to dig. I've got them in a big sack. I've got 2 big sacks, one bag of tapes, and I've got the actual device to change those to MP3s. So what I will do is I'll start digging around and find some, and then we can I'll send some out. How does that sound? Does that sound good?
Yeah, we can all put in our orders.
Definitely.
Yeah, and you can have a listen then. And this story, it was music with it as well. They would take, classical music and like prelude, and they would take parts of, Brahms and Chopin and various. The production was super excellent of these. They were all done in 1970s. These productions, really good. And this particular story comes out lovely. So here's Akrura now chanting his Gayatri mantra, and he's in the water. He's stopped now for midday Gayatri, and there he sees Krishna Balaram. What are they doing here? Are they on the chariot? So he goes to the chariot there, and they're there. Oh, he goes back, and then bang! All the charanas, Vidyadharas, Siddhas, Apsara, the Kandavas, the Magadas, all these wonderful celestial beings are there. And there's Krishna now. Balaram has now transformed himself into his Anantashesh form. And Krishna has changed his form into the Narayan Vishnu form, and is exhibiting his opulence as Vaikuntanath. So this is what's happened. And of course, Krura is getting a huge epiphany, a huge realization here. Wow, before my very eyes, here is Krishna manifesting his Aishwarya Roop, his Aishwarya Roop here as the majestic form of Lord Vishnu lying on Anantashesha. So let's carry on. Chana Ravinda Prabhu, would you like to read the next chapter, paragraph? In other words?
I haven't got the facility.
Oh, what? Oh, you didn't have it now.
No.
Archana is going to have to go for it.
Prakash can send me the link.
Okay. Archana, go ahead.
Hare Krishna. Please forgive me if I can't pronounce some of the words. So.
No, we won't. We will never forgive you. You'll have to make more bakris and gopras.
Hare Krishna. In other words, after returning to the Yamuna, Akrura saw Balarama turn into Sesnag, and Krishna turned into Mahavishnu. Oh. He saw the 4-headed supreme personality of Godhead smiling very beautifully. The Lord was very pleasing to all and was looking towards everyone with a merciful glance. He appeared beautiful with his raised nose, broad forehead, attractive ears, and reddish lips. His arms reaching to the knees were very strongly built. His shoulders were high, his chest was very broad, and his neck was shaped like a conch shell. His navel was very deep, and his abdomen was marked with 3 lines. His hips were broad and big, resembling those of a woman, and his thigh resembled to the trunk of an elephant. The other parts of his legs, the joints and over extremities, were all very beautiful. The nails of his feet were dazzling, and his toes were as beautiful as the petal of the lotus flowers. His helmet was decorated with very valuable jewels. There was a nice belt around his waist, and he wore a sacred thread across his broad chest. Bangles were on his hands and armlet on the upper portion of his arms. He wore bells on his ankles. He possessed dazzling beauty, and his palms were like lotus flower. He was further beautiful with by the different emblems of the Vishnumurti, the conch shells, club, disc, and lotus flower, which he held in his 4 hands. His chest was marked with the particular signs of Vishnu, and he wore fresh flower garlands. All in all, he was very beautiful to look at. Akrura also saw his lordship surrounded by intimate associates like the 4 Kumaras, Sanaka, Sanatana, Sananda, and Sanat Kumara, and other associates like Sunanda and Nanda, as well as demigods like Brahma and Lord Shiva. The 9 great learned sages were there, and also devotees like Prahalada and Narada and the 8 Vasus. All were engaged in offering prayers to the Lord with clean hearts and pure words. After seeing the transcendental personality of Godhead, Akrura immediately became overwhelmed with joy and great devotion, and all over his body there was transcendental shivering. Although for the moment he was revealed, he retained his clear consciousness and bowed down his head before the Lord with folded hands and faltering voice. He began to offer prayers to the Lord. Thus, end of Bhaktivedanta purport of the 39th chapter of Krishna, Akrura's return journey and his vision of Vishnu Loka within the Yamuna river. Hare Krishna.
Okay, thank you for that, Archana. And what a fantastic paragraph, and what a fantastic movie that would make. Just imagine with today's CGI, you know, what you could do to recreate that scene with Akrura, and suddenly this huge vision appears before him, as if the whole spiritual world has just manifested before his eyes. And the 9 great sages, they're called, does anyone know the name of these 9 great sages? The Nava Yogendras. There's one Swami in ISKCON. He preaches in Jammu and Kashmir. His name is Navayogendra Swami. He's one of Prabhupada's Diksha disciples. Sorry?
Navayogendra Ki Jai.
Yes, he was in East Africa and he's preached in India. He was come to England. He's done a lot.
We traveled together.
Yes,
we were friends. We were friends.
You were friends together. Very nice. Yeah, very great preacher. Really amazing preacher.
Very humble as well.
Yeah, preaches in Hindi and in many languages, at Kashmiri as well. So basically, here we've got an amazing vision that can be painted. And of course, devotees, they did paint these beautiful visions. I don't know if in your Krishna book, if you're fortunate to have the painting of this scene. I'm going to have a quick look to see if I can find one in my Krishna book. Because the scene is so astonishing. It's a very rare. What Akrura is beholding here is a very, very extremely rare scenery. Of course, in my Krishna book here, oh yes, we've got it. There we go.
Oh yeah.
Just a minute, hang on. Let me adjust this for you. Just a moment. Hello? No, we've got Shamarani. Shamarani, could you say Haribo?
Haribo.
Okay, turn your picture off and let's see if mine comes up. Haribo, Haribo. It should be on voice detection. That the speaker. No, that's not the one. That's immersive. Speaker. No, let's come out of there. No, we're not going to get it for you. I don't know why it doesn't work. Okay, but there's the picture on my Krishna book of Krura in the water, and you see in Narada, you see Krishna now manifesting himself as the Mahavishnu with Balaram, changing form into Ananta. Lord Shiva is there, Brahma is there, the Navayogendras, you can see them, they're there, along with Vashishta and all the great rishis, and of course Siddhas, Charanas, and these Vidyadharas, and many others. And there's another big picture here I want to share with you, which is a dramatic picture of the gopis desperately trying to stop Krishna and Balaram leaving Vrindavan.
Oh,
And you can see the
yeah.
chaos,
Beautiful.
the total chaos going on there, that they're trying desperately to stop Krishna leaving.
Yeah, some of them fainted.
And they're fainting, they're weeping, crying, screaming. And you know, it's a tragic situation there, Krishna. And then of course the result of that is that they all stood like statues at the end, and then they entered into Vipralamba, what we call Vipralamba Bhava, which is the topmost ecstasy of love, which is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally came to exhibit. This Radha Krishna Pranaya Vikriti Ladini Shakti Asmad, this feeling of intense love in separation of Lord Krishna. The love in separation is much more intense than the love when you're with the party, the other party. When they, of course, meeting is very intense. So this meeting and separation of Radha Krishna, this mila, and separation again and again, that's what makes it so enchanting, the relationship with Radha Krishna. It's constantly there's this separation, meeting, separation, because Krishna doesn't want to be married to Radharani. He doesn't want to be in that Satyabhama, Rukmini, Lakshmana in Dwarka. He doesn't want that. He's got that there in Dwarka Dham as Vasudeva Krishna. That's his relationship there. But with Radharani, it's a higher step up. I'm with the Gopi. So that's really nice. That so Shana Ravinda Prabhu, I think that or is it Jigna? Jigna shared it. I'm not sure who shared the page. Jigna did, yes. Thank you, Jigna. She's shared the link for you if you want to.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, thank you, Jigna.
I've got it. I've yet to find the paragraph.
So now we're going to get to the real nectar now. The nectar is coming. Are you all ready for the nectar?
Yes.
Who wants to have the nectar? Hey, Dr. Ben, the nectar. Okay, Ramesh, are you ready for the nectar? I'll have 2 helpings, please. Okay, so let's ask Jigna to start reading chapter, is it chapter 40 or 38 for you?
Hare Krishna, yeah, it's 44 on
40,
my one.
it's 39. Unfortunately, in my book, it's chapter 39.
Yeah, me too. I have
Yeah,
39.
but never mind. It's okay. We're all reading more or less the same thing. So Jigna, would you like to read this?
Yes, thank you.
Go ahead.
Praise by Akrura. Akrura offered his praise as follows. My dear Lord, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you because you are the supreme cause of all causes and the original inexhaustible personality Narayana. From your navel, a lotus flower grows, and from that lotus, Brahma, the creator of this universe, is born. Since Brahma is the cause of this universe, you are the cause of all causes. The elements of this cosmic manifestation, earth, water, fire, air, ether, ego, and the total material energy, as well as nature, the marginal energy, the living entities, the mind, the senses, the sense objects, and the demigods who control the affairs of the cosmos, are all produced from your body. You are the super soul of everything, but no one knows your transcendental form. Everyone within this material world is influenced by the modes of material nature. Even demigods like Lord Brahma, being covered by the influence of material nature, do not know exactly your transcendental existence beyond the cosmic manifestation of the three modes of material nature. Great sages and mystics worship you as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the original cause of all living entities, all cosmic manifestation, and all demigods. They worship you as all-inclusive. Some of the learned Brahmanas also worship you by observing Vedic ritualistic ceremonies. They offer different kinds of sacrifices in the names of different gods. And there are others also who are fond of worshipping transcendental knowledge. They are very peaceful, and after giving up all kinds of material activities, they engage in the sacrifice known as Jnana Yajna, the philosophical search for you. Should I continue?
That's a wonderful paragraph. Thank you. So your Akrura is now, showing us how to pray. Often we come before Krishna, myself, I'm talking about. I don't know what to say. I'm like a dumb animal. I'll say, Ishvara Parama, Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu, maybe some other prayers, Param Brahma, Param Dhamma, what Arjuna offered to Krishna in the 10th chapter of the Gita. But I don't know how to, pray to here. Akrura, who is the perfection, the authorized Vaishnava acharyas have given this Akrura the standard authorized system of prayer is offered to Akrura for his wonderful prayers of Vandanam to the Lord. He is expert in prayer. And as Prahlad is expert in Smaranam, as Parikit is expert in Shravanam, as Shukadev is expert in Kirtanam, as Lakshmi is expert in Padasevanam, as Hanuman is expert in Dasyam, and the Prithu Maharaj is expert in Archanam, Archana, Dokranam, and then, of course, we go on to Arjuna is expert in Sakyam, and then we have Maharaj Ambarisha, who is the expert in full surrender to the Lord, who displayed. Here we have Akrura's prayers. So here we can learn how to pray. And how does he start off? He says, first of all, Namo Namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Namo Brahmanya Devaya Go Brahmana Hitaya Cha Jagad Hitaya Krishnaya Govindaya Namo Namaha. My dear Lord Krishna, I offer my deep respects unto you. You are the supreme cause of all causes. And from your navel, Lord Brahma is born. And from Brahma come all the demigods and all the different material elements. Therefore, you are the cause of all causes. This is how he starts his prayer to Lord Krishna in his now manifesting as the Mahavishnu, showing how great he is. Of course, we know Krishna is even greater than the Mahavishnu. He is the cause of the Mahavishnu. Mahavishnu himself is just one of the ankshas or the prakashangs of the Lord, or one of the plenary portions of a portion of a plenary portion of the Lord. So this Akrura, then he's explaining that you are not only the cause of all these elements and this material nature, the demigod, and they're all coming from your transcendental body, but you are also the Paramatma, the super soul, who enters into all the bodies within this universe. In other words, you are everything. So this is the first paragraph where he's, and then he's finishing here on touching on Jnana Yoga and the Jnanis who are always absorbed in the Upanishadic search for Brahman, because within the Upanishads, there's a lot of knowledge of Brahman realization. Yad Advaitam Brahmo Panishadi Tadapyasa Tanu Bha ya antarmyami, ya atman tyarayami, purusho iti sosramsa vibhavaha. This is third verse of the Chaitanya Charitamrita. The author of the Chaitanya Charitamrita, he's describing how Lord Chaitanya is this Brahman, which is described in the Upanishads, and these Gyanis are absorbed in the Upanishads and Vedas or Shruti Shastra. They don't read the Smriti Shastra at all. They don't regard it at all. They're more, because it's more information of Brahman in these Upanishads. So yeah, that's a very nice. And Charnaravinda Prabhu, you want to go from the next part? There are devotees.
Oh, Prabhu, can I just ask you a little question? Why does Akrura address Lord Brahma as a demigod here? And he says demigods like Lord Brahma.
Because Brahma is a Jiva Tattva. Brahma is what we call Jiva Tattva. And sometimes when there's no living entity qualified to become it's just a heavy storm coming here. Because we're right by the seaside here.
Oh, wow.
I mean, the sea is just a few yards away from, oh, hang on. So Brahma is, sometimes he can be a Vishnu Murti. He can be sometimes, Vishnu can take the position of Brahma, but very rarely, mostly it is a Jiva Tattva Brahma. So Brahma is considered a Devta. He's in between. You see, sometimes he's a Jiva, sometimes Vishnu will take the position of Brahma. So therefore, there's always some contradiction here. Is he this or he's both? He's both. And not only that, Shiva then, he's in his own Shakti, you see, because he is a Parimana. He is what we call Parimana Shakti, or the transformational Shakti of Vishnu in contact with Pradhan. When Vishnu comes in contact with Pradhan, he becomes Sadashiva. He is Vishnu. When people say, oh, Shankar is Bhagwan, I say, yes. I don't say no. I say, oh, yes, he is Bhagwan. But he is Bhagwan transformed in contact with material nature, so that Lord Shiva, he's like, what my personal description of Lord Shiva is God getting his hands dirty. God getting his hands dirty. Vishnu never gets his hands dirty. But Lord Shiva, he comes in contact, direct contact with this Pradhan, material nature, but he is also Vishnu. He's not Vishnu Tattva, but he is almost as good as God, because he's not Jiva Tattva. Right, he is Vishnu, but transformed. And as Durga Devi is Lakshmi, transformed through Chaya Shakti. Chaya Shakti is there described by Brahma. There we are in Brahma Samhita. Shusti Stati Pralaya Shadhanu Shaktir Eka Chayeva Chaya Eva Chayeva Bhuvanani Vibharti Durga. Chayeva Yasya Bhuvanani Vibharti Durga. Itchanurupam Api Chestate Saha Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. So all these different Shaktis and transformations of the Lord, they're all described here in the Krishna book in Brahma Samhita. Bhagavatam, his Krishna book is Bhagavatam. So we get to understand what is what. Archana, what is Suchesu? Suchesu. Yeah, okay. Kya hai kya?
You know Gujarati and Hindi very well, Prabhuji.
Oh, Gujarati thoda aave chhe. Okay, so Chandravin, is that all right there?
Yes, yes, thank you. Thank you, Prabhu.
Are you clear there?
Yes, thank you.
No ambiguity?
No. All good, thank you.
Chandravinda Prabhu, would you like to read this the last chapter here? The last what chapter?
I'd love to. I have the page. courtesy.
There are devotees.
Is that it is stated in the Bhagavad Gita?
There are devotees.
Oh, there are devotees. You're right. There are devotees known as Bhagavatas who worship you as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. After being properly initiated in the method of Pancharatra, they decorate their bodies with tilaka and engage in worshipping of different forms of Vishnu Murti. There are others also known as Shivites, followers of different acharyas who worship you in the form of Lord Shiva. It is stated in the Bhagavad Gita that worship of demigods is also indirectly worship of the Supreme Lord. But such worship is not orthodox, because the worshipful Lord is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayan. Demigods such as Brahma and Shiva are incarnations of the material qualities, which are also emanations from the body of Narayana. Actually, there was no one existing before the creation except Narayan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The worship of the demigod is not on the same level as worship of Narayana.
Yes, and that's clearly stated by the Lord in the Gita, or in a bit up there in the 7th chapter and the 9th chapter. Krishna talks about Devta Puja, and it's not that he's condemning it. It's good for some people, you see. It's good for the Pravritti Margis. So Pravritti Margi people who are just interested in improving their material situation, good birth, education, strong financial condition, good health, so that the platform is very stable to enjoy the senses. You see, simply for enjoying the senses, enjoying the family, seeing your family happy. That's another form of sense gratification. You see your family happy. That means if you're happy, I'm happy. This is this idea. Okay. So this is Avidi Purvakam. The Lord says in the Gita, Avidi Purvakam, but they're not worshiping. They may worship devas, but they're not worshiping me. It is me. I'm giving the devas the power, the Shakti, to give you the blessing, but you're indirectly worshiping me, Krishna says, but it's not in the right way. It's an indirect way, and it's like giving a backhander to someone in the court to get you out of jail, or, you know, you're doing a little bribe, you see. It's a little bribe system. Whilst when we come to Krishna, we know that we are ending our material existence. When we come to Krishna, it means sarva dharmam pratyaja, bhaktyamam abhijanati, manmana bhavamad bhakto. It means that we're going to curtail now. We've come to the end of our material existence, and we're cutting it now. It's cutting. But materialistic people, they don't want that. Even if they have to go to hell and suffer, they would rather do that and then come back and try to enjoy sense gratification separately from Krishna. So not only is it they, it is us also. We have been doing this life after life. And some people are determined to avoid worshiping Krishna. Determined. So that is a little point on that. Worship of the demigods. And of course, within Hinduism, today's Hinduism, which is described, you can see online, Wikipedia, the BBC's website. You can read on Hinduism, and you'll see this version of Shankaracharya's Advaita Vedanta philosophy as a standard of Hinduism on BBC, on the internet. You see, that will change in due course of time, but we see that worship of any demigod, whether you worship this Yato Mata Tatapata as taught by Rama Krishna Paramahansa Swami, the guru of the very much celebrated Vivekananda Swami, who is famous for traveling across the ocean to America and giving his great speech. It said they're impersonalist and they make all the demigods equal to God. Krishna, Vishnu, Shiva, Brahma, they're all the same. And ultimately, they're all temporary manifestations of Prakriti. And ultimately, it is Brahman that is real. So therefore, we got the slogan. Who knows the slogan? Jagat Satyam? No, Brahma Satyam. Brahma Satyam. Jagat Mithya. Famous slogan. Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya. This comes from there, which is true. But the way they present it, it is very impersonal, and it is extremely offensive to the Lord to say that his body is the same as the body of a demigod or anything manufactured within this universe. His body is not a manufactured product of the universe or this material nature. It is the original transcendental form of blissful knowledge. The Lord's form is eternal, blissful knowledge. That is the Lord's form. It's so subtle. It's more subtle than air, more subtle than ether, mind, intelligence, and ego. It is the most subtle and perfect phenomenon, is eternal, blissful. Who would like to become eternal, blissful knowledge? Ding. We are. Hey, Dokra Ben, you are eternal, blissful knowledge. You're not the Dokra queen. You're not the Dokra Rani there. Alex, eternal, blissful knowledge, sir?
Yes. I mean, for me, it's bhakti. I mean, bhakti has to be somewhere associated with something more than just seeing Brahman in everybody. I mean, to get to that level, I would say, even in my life, if I was able to see Brahman in everyone, it would be close to some kind of blissfulness. But to get to a point where bhakti is in, and all the yogas are apart, because I do bhakti and have pure love for Krishna, that all of these things will be part and course of just doing bhakti. I mean, I don't know if that makes sense, because I see the attraction for seeing the Brahman in everybody, in terms of having a kind of a model in your head for bliss. But like all these things, it takes energy. For me, you to do this, you would need to. I mean, I can't remember most things, even all the lovely things you said, Prabhu. But and one thing I do remember is the Hare Krishna mantra, and it keeps me happy. Everything else is extras. Everything else in terms of the knowledge and wisdom and the different yogas is great. And if it helps me to do bhakti better, then albeit. But that surrender is blissful even at this level. I'm not advanced in any way, but I'm happy with just the Hare Krishna mantra.
Hey, listen, if you're happy with the Hare Krishna mantra, you're a better man than I, Gangadin.
Very nicely explained, Prabhu.
Yeah, better man than me. You know, if you can be satisfied with that alone, that's wonderful. I'm ashamed of myself. I am ashamed of myself. But I can't say that. But anyway,
it's taken me 20 years to get to a point where you try these different things and you think that knowledge is the way, but pure surrender and acceptance of limitations and of your ego, and it's just bliss in itself. Thank you, Prabhu.
Oh, it's very nice. Very nice. So this Brahman realization is described by Krishna in the 9th chapter. Brahmano hi pratishtaham amritasya vyayasya cha. The nectar, the nectar of life that one experiences in Brahman is extraordinary, because when you realize Brahman, you're realizing your eternal Sat nature, your Sat nature. And just to experience for a moment that you're eternal, and to enter into the mode of eternality for a moment, that is ecstatic in itself. To realize that this life now, which is temporary, it's going to end, there's death, there's this, and to consider that at one point there'll be no end. There's no change, there's no end. There's just, you're going to go on forever and ever and ever and ever and ever, recurring, recurring again forever, and then evermore, and on top of that, ever and ever, and even more ever, more and more, evermore, more ever, and evermore after that, and even more ever, and evermore. So when you get into this glimpse of that, that is also extremely exhilarating to glimpse eternity. Has anybody ever glimpsed eternity?
Fractionally.
That's what I'm saying. It's a fraction of a moment. Has that you've glimpsed it?
Fractionally.
Yes, I tell you, I've glimpsed it in my life. I would say it more than 6 times. I've glimpsed it at different moments in my life. And it's like the experience I've had of it is, you know, as if you're going to fly, you yourself without an airplane, you're going to fly into the sky, and you can just feel yourself lifting off and flying with no restrictions. That is something like what it's like to experience one's Sat feature, eternal nature. It's extraordinary, exhilarating. The sense gratification pales into insignificance. You know, what people consider happiness due to the contact of the senses and the sense objects, that pales into, it's insignificant, completely of no value when we come to, this is just, Alex, just a Sat eternal or Brahman feature. What to speak of contacting Paramatma through Jnana Yoga, through this process of Gyan, and then ultimately in the Bhakti Yoga stage, entering into this, what we've described as Vipalamba, this feeling of separation from the Lord, which is the mood of the Goswamis, the mood of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is the mood we're cultivating. We're not to meet Krishna, but to feel intense separation. And within that separation, you meet Krishna on that level.
Yeah.
Whilst if you meet Krishna, oh, hello, Krishna. Oh, God, I haven't seen you for ages. Oh, you haven't changed. Hey, Krishna, you haven't changed a bit. That's it. Okay, well, anyway, nice to see you, mate. And I'll see you around sometime. That's it. So Vipalamba, it doesn't end. It's eternal. It goes on. This is why it's completely ecstatic, this feeling of the gopis. So this chapter is very, very significant in this regard. So on that point, we should stop now. And thank you very much. Any questions, any points? I'm sorry, not questions. Anyone have something to say or some points to make there?
Yeah, I just wanted to thank you. Just wanted to thank you for sharing your experiences as well, because you know, if you have time in your hands, you end up searching and looking and reading, and the confusion can lead to more of a chaos. And for me, keeping it simple is great. I mean, it's great to have these sessions as well. And so I really appreciate your experience. Thank you.
Yeah, it does help. It does help to have applied. I've had different levels in my life. I've had intense overdrive. Overdrive here of forcing Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama. Forcing Krishna to come to me, to give me. I've gone from that.
Yeah.
Intense day in, day out, hammering the door, hammering, and I realized, I'm doing this. So, for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
I'm doing this. This is the wrong, my motive is to be, more advanced or more higher than the next guy.
Yes.
That's wrong. So as long as we have material agendas to our bhakti process, Krishna will keep it very, very slow. And then suddenly you see what happens is the process is suddenly you see someone make incredible progress. Boom! Suddenly, like that. Yeah. Or someone will come into the movement. Like there's one devotee, Amarendra, a wonderful speaker. He's on the internet and he's from India. He's a young guy. He's in his 20s and he's a fabulous preacher, fabulous speaker. His Sanskrit is wonderful. Yeah. He is, this is an example of suddenly you can just go boom, just like that. And Krishna will do that. He will hold back, hold back, hold back. No, you've got the wrong idea. You've got it wrong. You've got it wrong. Hey, now you're right. Go on, go. Now you go. You see, down the road, happy because Krishna will hold us back. Because he knows, our motive isn't right, our motive is wrong. What our progress, what we, I want to climb the ladder of success. I want to be a career man. I want to get to the top of the ladder. And, all this stuff we bring with us. And Krishna will hold us back, hold you back. He'll keep you, he won't give you that nectar. He won't give you and then as soon as we realize that we've got it wrong, and we've got to change, and we ourselves can realize this. Only you and me and an individual can only we can see our fault.
Yeah.
But we choose not to see our faults. We choose not to see. But as soon as we decide the game's up and I've got to accept my faults and see them for what I see myself for where I am here, this and that. I mean, if I give you a list of all my faults, I'd be here until Mangal Arti tomorrow morning, and I'd still be going on. If I give you the list of the faults I can see, I don't even want to mention my faults. They're so horrible. But Krishna, if you asked me this 20, 30 years ago, I would have said preposterous. Outrageous. But Krishna forces the issue. He forces us to see our bad. But then you see the beauty of it is this, Alex. The beauty of it is that even though we have these bad qualities, they're not us. We are covered by them. We are simply covered by these bad qualities, our sinful nature, our envious nature, our rotten nature in our heart, our cheating nature, the bad stuff, really rotten stuff. That is simply covering us. But we have got to take that off ourselves. And the only way we can take that off is by seeing it.
Yeah.
Accepting it with humility. And then we take it off. No, nobody, if Shamarani said, hey, Sakya, look, you've got this, let me take it off you. I'd go, no, I want it. It's mine. We hang on to it, you see. If you've tried it. So You know the story of Aesop's fables of sun and
Yeah.
wind?
The morals, yeah.
The morals, yes. Wind and the sun. It was the first one I read. I was about 4 years of age, 5 years of age. And I was at school reading this story of the wind and the sun. I started school at 3. That's when my school started. So
Okay.
that wind and the sun stayed in my mind all my life. That story. It's been the story. It's been the story of my life. Wind and the sun. And we have ourselves. We have to see things, accept things, and we have to let go. We have to take it off. Krishna, nobody gonna do it for us. But Krishna will help us.
Mhm.
So I've had my rant now. Hare Krishna.
Prabhu, can I just ask you on that? So if we do like a chanting, like a proper chanting, does that help you to overcome all these kind of difficulties and kind of, as you said, accepting yourself, who you really are, kind of? So if you do like
yeah, the chanting helps. What the chanting does for us, for most of us, it keeps us stable. Okay, it'll keep us stable. A lot of our chanting is materially motivated. We become offended. Who becomes offended very easily here? Who becomes offended easily? Easily offended?
I do. I mean, I have to say that for over 20 years, my ego was inflated by myself. And then when people just took one word or 2 words, and then it would be full rage.
Well, you mean if I called you a moron or something like that?
Well, no, that wouldn't. But if you, because I was inflating my ego with intelligence, if you belittled me for intelligence because I thought I had a lot of knowledge, where it was just superficial knowledge that you probably can Google, that I stored in my head to regurgitate, and all of that was my persona. So until I realized that it was nothing, absolutely, it wasn't even any form of knowledge. It's not a form of intelligence. That point was, it was,
Well, most of us get offended, okay? Most of us get offended quite easily. When we're not expecting it and someone says something, or someone, even on Facebook, someone may say something, it may be true. And many times people say things about, especially in family, people may say home truths, family truth. They may say something that's true. It's true, but we get upset.
Yes.
You see, because we're in denial. And on this whole material existence is based on denying who I am. What am I? I am a part of God. I am part of Krishna, and I am meant to give him pleasure. My purpose to exist is to give the pleasure to the Lord. So we are denying our purpose of existence from the very, very basic level. Therefore, the whole premise of material existence is based on denial. Okay, so that's something that for us to look into, but only we can look into it ourselves.
Yeah.
So on that point, I would like to say Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram
Ram, Hare Hare.
I have to go now. I have to leave. I haven't got the time. But if you want to do some japa, you're welcome. But I have to depart from the meeting. Ooh, that hurt. So I hope
I won't be able to join next week.
Oh, okay, Prabhu.
We've got Kirtan here in Crawley with Govinda Maharaj.
Oh, nice. Yeah. I remember him when he was Ayodhyapati Prabhu in France. He was based in La Nouvelle Mayapur. What's the name of it? What's the French name for a castle?
A chateau.
Chateau de Ponce de Leon. Yes, I remember being there, and he was cooking for one festival with Govinda Maharaj, and he was cooking there actually, and he was very good cook, very nice. He's a very nice cook, very good-hearted person. So lucky for you, Prabhu. Lucky for you.
It's rare he comes to Crawley, so better make
Yeah.
the most
Oh,
of the
nice.
opportunity.
Oh yeah, he's one of the best. One of the best. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, man.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, everybody.
Thank you, Dokra. Thank you, Dr. Rani. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Oh, thank you. Hari Bo, Prabhus. Hari Bo. Chana.
Mr. Prabhupada, may your mother's health
Yes.
get quickly.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Rameshji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.